All right, today we'll be working on activity 3.5, which is entitled Do Your Research, Sources, Citation, and Credibility. So we're going to be discussing those three words, what they mean. We've already talked about them a little bit, so it should be a review for some of it and also some new information. Our learning targets for today: understand the process of research, including the importance of using credible sources and citing sources to avoid plagiarism. Apply understanding of sources, citation, and credibility through discussion, note-taking, and research. So our first question is just to get our brains started thinking about this topic. Read and respond to the following quotes by Bernard M. Baruch, American financial expert and presidential advisor. So go ahead and read those on your own. Go ahead and push pause and fill in that in the box provided. All right, number 2. What is the role of research in presenting an argument? So why do we do research? How are research and arguments connected? Let's go ahead and pause the video. Write in number 2. For number 3, we have a graphic organizer on the different steps of the research process, and it's a self-assessment on how comfortable you are on all the steps that we organized. We ordered these earlier in a different lesson. So now that we've talked about them and had some time to work on them, how comfortable are you with each of these items? So go ahead and pause the video and fill in your self-assessment. For number 4, you're going to see 3 boxes: sources, citation, and credibility. You're going to be able to take notes and add extra information that you learned on all 3, because we're going to be discussing, there's going to be some readings on each of these 3 topics. So as you read, go ahead and click in the box as you're reading sources. You can take some notes. Anything new that you find, go ahead and put in these boxes. And there should be some new information on all 3. I don't think anybody is an expert on all 3 of these topics yet, so as you read through the sources, I'm not going to read them to you. This is kind of your independent learning on these 3 topics for right now. So as you read about sources, citations, and credibility, go ahead and add some notes to that box. That's going to be your active reading, your close reading activity during this lesson. Number 5 says, revisit the sources you have read in the unit. What kind of sources are they? When might be it effective to use primary sources? Okay, so it talks about the difference between primary and secondary. The basic, I will read this little part for you. A primary source is an account or document created by someone with first-hand knowledge or experience of an event. Letters, journal entries, blogs, eyewitness accounts, speeches, and interviews are all primary sources. A secondary source are documents supplied and compiled by people who do not have first-hand knowledge. That means they weren't there of an event. History textbooks, book reviews, documentary films, websites, and most magazine and newspaper articles are secondary sources. Sometimes it's hard to tell because sometimes secondary sources will use primary sources, so there's some articles and some things that we'll find that have both. I like this list so you can differentiate between the two. Sorry about that. I had a phone call. That's what happens in life sometimes. All right, so number 5, you're going to revisit the sources and identify them. So what is most of the sources? Have they been primary or secondary sources? And when it says sources, it's talking about the different articles that we've read so far in Unit 3. So now you're going to take some notes on what a citation is. You're going to look at the different types of citations and how they are taken. This is going to come in important later, so remember this page. So right here. So for number 6, it says, suppose you are conducting research on this debatable topic. Is it ethical to keep animals in zoos? Imagine that you have used the following sources. Practice writing the basic bibliographic information for each. This is going to be a little bit painful. Remember I taught you how to use Citation Machine earlier, and now you're going to struggle a little bit, and that's okay, to do it the old-fashioned way. And this is the only time you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, but it is good to know how to do it and know what the purpose is, like how to organize these things. So here is your 3 sources. There's a book, there's a website, and there's an interview. So you're going to go back up here and you're going to use this format right here. So this is, if it was a book, which is one of them, you're going to put last name, comma. This is exactly how you have to put it. Last name, comma, first name of author, period, title of book. Obviously you can type in italics, so you can do that. Period, city of publication, colon, publisher, comma, year of publication, period, medium of publication. That means what type of, if it's a digital book, is it an actual physical book? Okay, so that's what the medium of publication means. It means the type of book that it is. Okay, so here's an example. So you're going to you have a book, you have a website right here, and you have, was there interview? Yeah, right here, personal interview. So those are the three you're going to use to manually do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, so you only have to do it those 3 times there, but it's going to be important to make sure you're paying attention to all the periods and the capitals and all that stuff, because it's important. Credibility, so you're going to take notes on the credibility up in that box of credibility. And then this is important, learning about different internet sites and what the domain suffixes mean. .com, .org, .net, .edu, and .gov. You're going to need these definitions for answering the next couple questions. Number 7 says, which of the domain suffixes listed above would provide the most credible information for research on whether it is ethical to keep animals in a zoo, and why? Number 8, which suffixes might provide the least credible information, and why? Number 9, go back to the internet source for which you recorded basic bibliographic information. Based only on the information you are given for the website, would you consider information for this internet source to be credible? Why or why not? So you're going to go back to the source for the website and decide for yourself, using the information we just learned on domain suffixes, whether that website is going to be credible, means should we trust it or not, and why. And then we are going to be doing a research on we're going to write in your own argument. So if you have, remember that big list of controversial topics, if one of those interests you, and then your current position, you're for or against, do you think it should or shouldn't, that kind of thing. What type of sources do you think you should use for that? Any basic, is the source credible? So you can do some preliminary research. Don't spend too much time on this because I'm going to give you a good website to do most of this later. So just focus mostly on the topic that you think you might be interested in your current position. Ignore these other boxes for right now. We'll come back to them later.